El coco.
Well, look, we'll talk about the fight before we talk about everything else first. I know that's not exactly how you wanted your performance to go. How are you feeling about the entire fight and how you've performed?
It was a great fight week. I'm going to be real with you. Felt awesome all the way here. Lost some weight. I went from 175 to 167. I did a 3-mile run and I ended up losing almost 8 pounds. So the rehydration process was a little bit more interesting for me. Used to cutting all the way down to 55. No bullshit. I felt slow. I felt sluggish. I think we could see that on the wrestling side of me. My fault, obviously, for warming up. We didn't do a shakeout this morning, even though I probably should have or thought about it. That's the reality of the sport. If you can't just focus on one thing. And we did a lot of sparring. Obviously, you could see that out there. I felt pretty good on my feet. Timing Kiesa's different antics, what I knew where he was going to shoot in. Felt super slow going in, fighting for hands when I went for wrestling. I felt sick. I threw up probably maybe 3 to 4 times being nervous as fuck. I usually don't get nervous, but in the back I was kind of yakking and dry heaving, which was kind of funny how that works. But this is the only sport that makes me do that. When it goes to any other thing, it's kind of interesting how it goes. But I think more than anything else is because I want to perform to the best of my ability out here. And I really didn't. Like I said, I felt a little slow and sluggish, but congrats to Michael Chiesa. It's not his fault, that's mine. So a lot of things, obviously, I need to work on, but it's all putting together, obviously, getting in there and feeling more comfortable inside that octagon. Sometimes when you lose or when you get hit or when you get knocked out, sometimes the lights, when you get in there, you see it in the fighter's eyes that you can kind of be like, oh, he's not in here. I felt normal in there for a second. I was like, okay, I'm in this zone. This is where I belong. If I didn't feel that, then it would be easier for me to throw both of my gloves down. That's why it was a little bit harder for me to kind of decide. Obviously, I'm going to go and talk to my wife. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel like you guys want to retire from this every time, right? So it's kind of interesting. You have to think about it a little bit more and more. So, I mean, I got a Fanta right here, and my kids are probably going to hate me because I'm drinking it, but I'm going to bring it back to them. So I'm just looking forward to going to see my boys and enjoy the rest of Abu Dhabi. Congratulations to Michael Chiesa. That one's a long time in the making. I'm not going to say if he fought Prime Tony, right, what would happen, but I'm going to be real. We got a chance to be able to do this. So in the near future, maybe we can seal some deals with some other guys with a furry hat.
You said that you don't want to retire, and I understand it, right? This is what you live to do and stuff. But what would have to happen in the cage for you to realize, okay, my time has come and it is time for me to walk away?
I know when it will. There's a lot of things that I can and can't do. I just teamed back up with my boy, Anthony Gonzalez from American Gym. I felt this whole entire camp, I had just gotten back into sparring where I was me putting myself back into a team. You have no idea how hard that is for me to be able to do that. It's not like I've ever went to a team and I've never felt like I fit in. But when I went from Paradigm and I went from Team Rain Training Center with Mark Munoz and everything kind of broke up and it just went to shit. It really did. And for me, being a team player and being varsity level, when you're on a 4-year team, you stay there for the longest time and then you graduate and then you go on to something new. For me, it's next is getting into the wrestling more. I brought in a couple people, maybe one person. Shout out to Richie for being able to do that, through Anthony. That took me to be able to ask. That took balls to be able to go and be like, hey, look, I need help. How many other people are able to do that? They're not. They need people to pull them in a direction and be able to, hey, look, you need to do this. That used to happen. Now I'm kind of on that verge of coaching, but I'm kind of no, I still want to fight. I still want to compete and I still want to do this. I want to do a whole bunch of stuff. If I didn't have the love, both those gloves would have been left in that fucking ring. But it wasn't even anything else but for me to be able to be pissed off at what the fuck just happened.
Look, we know what Dana said, right? And at the end of the day, he's the one who gets to call those shots. If the UFC say to you, I'm sorry, Tony, no more, what do you do? Do you consider competing for other people? Do you call it a day on that, or what do you do?
I talked to my homeboy Lloyd right there, and what we do is we go do something else. And I'm going to be real. If those fans out there are willing enough to come out here and fly and spend thousands of dollars to come watch me compete somewhere, I guarantee you they're going to follow me somewhere. And that's the humblest thing I can fucking say, because no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to get better and better and better and better. I feel like these gray hairs right here with the blonde hair, are kind of slowly fading away too. So I'm going to have to do something different, which is, obviously find a new team, which is cool. I found a good sparring team, but I'm going to have to go and start wrestling a little bit more. I'm going to have to put myself out there more. I feel comfortable being around these people that I'm around right now. And that's a lot for me, because I don't really fucking hang out with anybody. Superheroes only hang out with superheroes when it's need be.
So the UFC journey may be over, but MMA journey is not over for Tony Ferguson.
Well, I've always competed in wrestling shoes, and that's the one thing. And I know that I've always wanted to wrestle. So there's a lot of different things. There's grappling too. But when I put wrestling shoes on, I've been competing in sports for 30-some years, guys. 35 years I've been competing in sports. I've wore cleats, wrestling shoes. But I put some shoes on and I go and I don't have to worry about anybody taking me down. I'm going to fuck somebody up. So there's a lot of interesting things, and I know my agent Lloyd from Vayner Sports. I want to say thank you for always representing me to the fullest. And I'm telling you, my homeboy Ant, we go way back, man, which is a little bit different. And we just started throwing pads again. And as interesting as that is, I mean, I can count on a couple of hands, right, how many times we threw. But it was like hit and miss. And when I went out there and I hit Chiesa, he didn't want to stand and bang. Not a lot of people want to stand and bang with me. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes.
Well, listen, man. From turning the chair around at media scrums, from talking about Ninja Turtles, the entire journey's been pretty interesting, pretty unique, but very fun to cover, and it's been an honor, man. So if this is it, all the best.
It ain't it, but cheers. Thank you.
Tony, right here, you mentioned love from the fans. It was your first time competing in Abu Dhabi. How much did you enjoy how crowd was cheering for you?
In the real, I thought it was really loud. I thought it was awesome. I didn't expect that. I don't realize all the work I've ever done in this sport. I think that a true champion, I think somebody wrote something down. They're not looking back on what they have done, and they don't. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not looking back towards things where I expect gratitude from people. Somehow along the way, they found interesting things about me to be able to inspire them, which you guys are all fucking crazy. I'm going to be real with you. But I find that it's pretty awesome that you guys do that. And I draw inspiration from every single one of you guys, from the fans that are in the hotel where I'm signing things and I'm taking pictures, where I go to meet and greets where I'm doing pictures for 5 hours because I'm only signed for 2. And yet I'm finishing every single one because I know how special that is for somebody else. I've been fortunate enough to meet really cool professional athletes, especially when I was little, that paved that way. Not one professional athlete, including Brock. Brock was nice to me. Brock's an asshole to everybody. I mean, I don't know if you guys know him personally, but I mean, that's my coach. David Goggins, same thing. I went through so much different things, but I have to keep challenging myself like that. That way it makes me feel a lot better about myself. I don't know why, it just does. I have a lot of gold medals. I have some silver and I have some bronze. And now I have a couple losses. I got a couple records. I've got performance of the nights. I got finishes of the nights. I got fucking every little side quest that there is in this sport. Who the fuck else is going to do that? Only a boat, dog. Like, that's the only shit. Goats come and go and boats stay afloat. And I think that's why a lot of you fans like me, is because I'm always talking shit. I'm always going to be me. And I know what the fuck I've done in this sport. So thank you.
Yeah, were you surprised how much fans love you abroad? Because it's the first time for you compete so far from the States, right?
I was nervous, but I've always wanted to fight in Fight Island. Since it was made during pandemic, it was the coolest thing to, I don't know, like I said, superheroes don't gather up with superheroes unless it's time to fly, right? And when Yaz Island came about during the pandemic, that was when the superheroes, like, I'm kind of like the Avengers, right? I just watched the Avengers with my sons, like all of them, like back to back, like on a whole fucking Saturday. It was crazy. But they understood that, yeah, there are individuals throughout this whole entire sport. But when you really need to, you kind of have to come together in order to do that, such as championships and big fights and so on and so forth. I've always tried to preach team. And for the longest time during the pandemic, I wasn't about team. I was trying to put together the band again, and it didn't work out. It didn't sound the same. And it was like forcing the move, but I wanted to stay in competition. I wanted to stay fresh. I wanted to make sure that I could put film out there for Khabib, so that way he would come back into competition. And we almost coached against each other, which is kind of funny, so it almost worked. When you're in this sport, you're in it for the love of the game. And when you lose that love of the game, you can see it in the athlete in their face already. There's, like I said, that fight went way too quick for me. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy. I'm going to be pissed. As soon as I get back from here, I'm going to probably have a piece of fucking pizza. I'm going to enjoy my kids. Be the cool gentleman man that I can possibly be, and tell them that they need to keep their chin fucking up and keep pushing forward. Because what kind of an asshole would I be if I fucking started feeling down about myself?
Tony, congrats on such a great career. You talked about watching Avengers with your son. I'm sure you're his greatest hero. And I'm sure you're a great motivation and inspiration to a lot of the young athletes out there. But just in terms of maintaining that discipline as an athlete, a message that you'd want to share?
Well, you're either born with it or you're not. And if you're born with it, you're fortunate enough to be able to pass that on to other people. And if you're not born with it, you better find a role model that has it, and that way you can follow them. The hardest part is finding that role model. The easiest thing is staying busy and staying productive, doing the right thing. It's going to be the easier thing to do the wrong thing. I guarantee you, it's always easier to do the wrong thing. The hardest part is doing the right thing consistently over and over and over. But as long as you have a role model in your life that you can look up to, and if you don't have a role model, go watch the movie Rocky. Go watch Kickboxer. Go watch Bloodsport. Go watch Under Siege with, you know what I'm talking about, Mr. Karate Man. I forget his name. Seagal. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be real. I don't really see too many heroes in movies nowadays. But, like, I didn't know my father growing up. I grew up fucking angry. I grew up real angry. But I had my stepdad. I didn't call him stepdad. I had my dad there that always pointed me in the right direction, knew how to coach me, and knew how to father me. He was my role model. He's still my role model. And how I work today, how hard I work today, can you imagine how hard my dad works? Now, I didn't know my father growing up, but I searched for him for the longest time. And when I found him, I wanted to know what I looked like when I got older. It's kind of fucked up. But I do now. And the coolest thing is for me to be able to pass a lot of this knowledge that I have to a lot of kids that are fucking angry when they're growing up or whatever it is, to never give up, find inspiration in what the hell it is, make sure it's good, and keep pushing forward, man. And once you lose it, find something else, find something new, and just stay busy.
Тони, после боя ты сказал, что оставишь одну перчатку в клетке, одну принесешь семье, но когда ты шел из клетки, ты кинул перчатку фанатам. Почему?
After the fight, you said you're going to leave one glove in the octagon and one glove you're going to take back to your family. But as you were walking out, you threw that glove out to a fan. How come?
Because these new gloves are cool. I want them to see it. I have one glove in that cage. That means I'm undecided. I already kind of know where my heart is. I'm not going to say it too much. But I'm going to talk to my wife. I know you guys that are married, you guys don't make big decisions without talking to your significant other. If you do, then that's cool. I always make decisions on my own anyway, but I'm going to talk to her about it, and we're going to go about it from there. There's a lot of things that I want to accomplish. Obviously, I want to go, and I still want to be a part of the UFC. I think that I have a lot to offer these younger fighters, whether that's coaching, whether that's being sports psych, whatever the fuck that is. I've been in this sport for a very long time, and I just grew up in this thing not knowing exactly what the hell I was doing. And it's a dangerous sport if you don't know what you're doing, and it's a great sport if you do know what you're doing. And there's a lot of prerequisites that you're going to have in order to be coached by me or fight for me. So regardless if I open up a promotion, if I go to coaching, I'm not saying I'm going to be a manager, but I'm not done yet. So I got a lot of shit to do. I'm still hungry.
Я выкинул перчатку, потому что я хотел, чтобы кто-то из этих фанатов, у них была эта перчатка, потому что она очень прикольная, чтобы она была у них. Но, в принципе, как бы я уже решение принял, я просто пока не буду говорить о нем. Я, в принципе, знаю, что я хочу сделать. Я хочу поехать домой, я хочу отдохнуть, я хочу поговорить с женой. Те из вас, которые женаты, вы знаете, что решение принимать без жены – это не очень круто. Но если вы принимаете его, то все равно это круто. В любом случае, я хочу остаться в этом спорте. Я не знаю, как это будет. Может быть, я буду кого-то коучить, может быть, я буду тренером кого-то. Я не знаю еще точно, я знаю, что я хочу принести какую-то пользу другим молодым ребятам. Может быть, это не будет быть менеджером или так далее, может быть, это будет коучем. Но для того, чтобы для меня работать, нужно работать очень хорошо и очень усердно. Поэтому посмотрим, я хочу остаться в спорте.
That's fucking impressive.
Hi, Tony. Yes. Tony, this is Yusuf from MMA 101.
How you doing?
Yesterday we had the ADXC in Abu Dhabi, which is a grappling competition inside an MMA cage with MMA rules. We had several UFC fighters there like Aljamain Sterling, Uriah Faber, Chad Mendes, and so on. We would love to see you competing in grappling inside MMA cage. What do you think about this?
I think it's a good idea. I'm going to be real. I'm a wrestler when it comes down to it. I think that I have a lot to offer different sports. I'd be excited to, I'd be love to, and we would prepare very well for it. So thank you.
I think you saw how much the people in Abu Dhabi were cheering for you. We love you when you come here in Abu Dhabi. My second question, to retire or leave UFC, would it be coming from them that they tell you enough is enough, or it's coming from you where you'll feel that I need to stop? What do you think?
Well, I was supposed to be exceptional in this fight. I only showed half of that shit. So I'm going to be a real hunter, and I were probably going to talk, figure something out. Obviously, I'm not done with sports. That's sports, not just MMA. When it goes into boxing, when it goes into grappling, when it goes into mixed martial arts, I have an agent that's been looking after me for a long time, and I'm happy with that. And I'm going to keep providing for the fans, for my family, and everybody else the way I know how to, which is hard work. I'm not going to fucking stop competing. That's just my blood. That's just how I am. I want my kids to keep seeing me compete. For now, I want to say to my team that I coach football over in Santa Ana for the Monarchs, you know what? We got practice, so I know I was going to go out there and get this W, but you guys never quit, okay? So I'll never quit on you boys.
Thank you, Tony.
Tony, and a few last ones from me. So would you consider traveling more and performing in different countries because you saw how fans love you abroad in the countries you've never been to before?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that I love. I think that it's hard because I was only in Mexico, and I've only been to Canada maybe twice because of wrestling in Niagara Falls. I think it's fucking awesome. I mean, wherever other country that's just going to be, whether it's China, whether it's anywhere else, I mean, I would love to be able to go compete, regardless if it's MMA, mixed martial arts, boxing. I mean, shit, I know a lot of people would love to see me compete, so yeah, I would definitely go. I'll bring my family too.
You have a lot of fans in Russia, I'm just going to tell you this.
You know, I love Russian fans. We've gone back and forth since me and Khabib first signed on the dotted line. It's been crazy with the fans in Russia, but I'm going to be real. I'm kind of learning Russian right now, and I'm going to be real that's one of my favorite things to be able to do is to learn another language, and Russian would be my first one.
And the last one for me, I hope it doesn't come as disrespectful, but what makes you want to stand up? I hope it's not an injury.
Say that one more time.
What makes you stand up right now? I hope it's not an injury.
You know, I sat a lot today. It was from Saturday. I rested in bed a lot today. I kind of stayed in the hotel room. I didn't get out much. I was kind of like just super chill. Don't do much. When you get a second, my agent hit me up to do a shakeout, and I was kind of like, no, just save it, just save it, just save it. And when we got here, we really did. What are you gonna do when we're warming up? So right now, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go run 3 miles, but I do have energy, and that's what pisses me off because the fight went a little too quick for me.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Tony, just one last one. Khabib was actually asked about, this fight and your potential retirement, and he said he wanted to wish you all the best. He said you're truly one of the best to ever do it. He said it's a shame you guys never got to fight. It is what it is, and he said that your life is really just beginning.
Yeah, I know. That's it's still gonna be Tiramisu Tuesday. You fat fuck. I'm just kidding. That'll never end. I think that's cool. It's like a saga. You ever watch Dragon Ball Z? They have sagas all over the place. That's how that one went, McNugget Monday, so on and so forth. It's Wing Wednesday all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So I want to say thank you, Khabib. I always wish everybody else the best, too. No animosity with Khabib, but we went through hell and back. And it was the same thing with Russian fans. I think that at the beginning of the day, the excitement that it was for us to be able to go out there and compete, regardless if it was chess, checkers, badminton, or fucking grappling or fighting. Everybody just wanted to see that get done. So maybe one day we'll go and we'll do some maybe he'll pick his team and I'll pick my team for some wrestle ball or something like that.
Hi, Tony.
How you doing, Robert?
Sending you love from China on behalf of Chinese fans and fans all over the world. This is not the result you wanted, and I believe it's everyone, didn't want it. But thank you so much for all these years to bring us the exciting fight. Speaking of the traveling, last year you had an interview with Chinese media, Migu, journalist. You mentioned you're so interested in traveling in China, and you do know you have a huge fan base in China, and we would love to see you in China. And we got the biggest PI in Shanghai, so we're looking forward to visit there.
Yeah, I've never been much for traveling. Like I said, I've only been North America, right? This is kind of a far one. My kids ended up being pretty good on the airplane for 15 hours. I got an 8 and a 3-year-old, so that ended up working out. By the way, thank you for the pandas. I would love to be able to go to China and see some real pandas. So, any other time, any country, I'm there. I think that this was like the icing on the cake to be able to get me out of my own little rut.
Personally, I'm from Panda's hometown, Chengdu, so would love to show you around. Please let me know if you visit ever.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All the best, Tony. We love you.
Thank you. Love you guys too. Appreciate that.
Привет, Тони. А за кого будешь болеть на поединке Шара Буллет против Михаила Алексейчук, если будешь смотреть дальше?
What's up, Tony? Who are you going to be rooting for, Shara Bullet or Mikhail Alexeychuk? Who are you rooting for?
I got to go with red corner. I don't really know the other guy, and then the bullet was in our corner. So, I mean, he looked pretty cool. I mean, it was pretty dope. I think for him being at middleweight, he moves really well. I think the kid's got a lot of potential from just what I've seen, just him move in the open workouts, I think it was. But other than that, it's going to be interesting.
Я должен буду болеть за красный угол. Я не знаю, кто там в другом углу, но красный угол был в той же раздевалке, что и я. Я посмотрел на него, как он двигается, хорошо двигается. Вроде бы для среднего веса у него вроде хорошие навыки. Из того, что я видел на открытой тренировке. Поэтому я надеюсь, что у него будет как бы долгая карьера. Я за него болею.
А это красный угол, это...
Шара.
Шара будет. Все, спасибо.
All right, boys. Thank you.